pity on them. Muhammad Shah was neither rich nor poor, but lived comfortably, and was a good man. He remembered Ilyas's hospitality, and pitying him said, "Come and live with me, Ilyas, you and your old woman. In summer you can work in my meadow garden as much as your strength allows, and in winter feed my cattle, and Shamshemagi shall milk my mares and make kumis. I will feed you and clothe you both. When you need anything, tell me, and you shall have it." Ilyas thanked his neighbor, and he and his wife took service with Muhammad Shah as laborers. At first the position seemed hard to them, but they got used to it and lived on, working as much as their strength allowed. Muhammad Shah found it was to his advantage to keep such people because, having been masters themselves, they knew how to manage and were not lazy, but did all the work they could. Yet it grieved Muhammad Shah to see people brought so low who had been of such high standing. It happened once that some of Muhammad Shah's relatives came from a great distance to visit him, and a mullah came too. Muhammad Shah told Ilyas to catch a sheep and kill it. Ilyas skinned the sheep and boiled it and sent in to the guests. The guests ate the mutton, had some tea, and then began drinking kumis. As they were sitting with their host on down cushions on a carpet, conversing and sipping kumis from their cups, Ilyas, having finished his work, passed by the open door. Muhammad Shah, seeing him pass, said to one of the guests, "Did you notice that old man who passed just now?" "Yes," said the visitor. "What's there remarkable about him?" "Only this, that he was once the richest man among us," replied the host. "His name is Ilyas. You may have heard of him." "Of course I've heard of him," the guest answered. "I never saw him before, but his fame has spread far and wide." "Yes, and now he has nothing left," said Muhammad Shah, "and he lives with me as my laborer, and his old woman is here too. She milks the mares." The guest was astonished. He clicked with his tongue, shook his head, and said, "Fortune turns like a wheel. One man it lifts, another it sets down. Doesn't the old man grieve over all that he's lost?" "Who can tell? He lives quietly and peacefully, and works well." "May I speak with him?" asked the guest. "I should like to ask him about his life." "Why not?" replied the master, and he called from the kibitka in which they were sitting, "Babay," which means grandfather in Bashkir. "Come in and have a cup of kumis with us, and call your wife here also." Ilyas entered with his wife, and after exchanging greetings with his master and the guests, he repeated a prayer and seated himself near the door. His wife passed in behind the curtain and sat down with her mistress. A cup of kumis was handed to Ilyas. He wished to the guests and his master good health, drank a little, and put down the cup. "Well," said the guest who had wished to speak to him, "I suppose you feel rather sad at the sight of us. It must remind you of your former prosperity and of your present sorrows." Ilyas smiled and said, "If I were to tell you what is happiness and what is misfortune, you wouldn't believe me. You'd better ask my wife. She's a woman, and what's in her heart is on her tongue. She'll tell you the whole truth." The guest turned towards the curtain. "Well," he cried, "tell me how your former happiness compares to your present misfortune." And Shamshemagi answered from behind the curtain, "This is what I think about it. My old man and I lived for 50 years seeking happiness and not finding it. And it is only now, these last 2 years, since we had nothing left and have lived as laborers, that we have found real happiness, and we wish for nothing better than our present lot." The guests were astonished.